Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. That world out here keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. We are one, yeah, we are one. Welcome to the Course of Love.
Now let's come to
A Course of Love. Welcome to A Course of Love.
inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves.
Yeah.
When you choose him, you know
You choose me too. Everybody becomes a part of you. And then you know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Welcome to A Course of Love.
can you hear it?
Can you hear it? Are you ready to hear some truth?
Can you feel it?
Hi, beloved Keith. Hello, beloved Rita.
Arms around it,
Put your arms around it.
know that we are
Janet, I'm glad that you're catching me live tonight.
yeah, we are one.
Blue, I'm glad you are joining me tonight. Thank you for giving me a chance to. We're going to go deep into the truth tonight. We're going to tune into who we really are tonight and let the spirit of love go through us. Hello, Jim. This is our sacred joining. I'm so glad to be here with you. Hello, Blue. We're going to go deep. We're going to go deep in A Course of Love. We're going to go deep, and you and me, we're not that far apart. We'll be beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Hello, Mary.
Tell
Me, can you hear? Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. You and I are one. We are one. We're joining. We are one. Yeah, we are one. We are totally one. We are one. I'm so glad we're one. I am you and you are me. I am you and you are me. Wow. I love having an opportunity to be with you with the Course of Love. This is such a deep book. So I'm glad that we're going to get a chance to get into the Course of Love tonight. Thank you for being willing to join me. So, A Course of Love. Are you ready? Elizabeth, good to have you online. Deborah, glad to have you online. Steve, glad to have you online. So don't forget to interact with each other, and also I'll give you a chance to interact with me and ask me any questions so that we can go deep in the course of love. You don't have any idea how glad I am to be here with you. It's like it's my automatic sanity pill. You know what I'm saying? There's so much going on that the fact that I get a chance to be with you all and focus on some truth together, it is a total and complete blessing. So I want to tell you that I am so glad to be here with you tonight. I am so glad to be here with you tonight. I'm going through so many powerful transformations and awakenings from within and getting so much guidance right now from the Holy Spirit within myself that I just feel a profound sense of gratitude for the effects that you are having in the course of love are having on me right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Tonight we're going to be in the course of love. We're going to be on chapter 19. Chapter 19 in the course of love on page 131. Chapter 19 is oneness and duality. Oneness and duality. Hello, Trish. I hope you're able to. I'm monitoring while I'm online, so I am not having any problem seeing me show up on other iPads and on my phone in front of me. So if you're having a problem with connecting, I'm afraid it may be something happening on your end because it's not happening on my end right now. So we're going to go to oneness and duality. Oneness and duality. It's one thing I want to make sure before I get deeper in this. And I want to make sure that I can be able to respond to your questions, because that's important to me to be able to do that. So let me make sure that I'm able to do that. This isn't like a high-tech operation, which it was, but it is not a high-tech operation, and I want to make sure that I can respond to you and connect with you. Oneness and duality. It says there was no evil intent in the creation of the body as a learning device, and as a learning device the body was perfectly created. The body was perfectly created as a learning device. Then the course of love says the problem lies in what you have in your forgetfulness made of the body. So we are being told right now that the problem lies in what we have made of the body. So what does it mean by the only problem we have is what we have made of the body? It says only from thinking of the body as yourself did ideas of glorifying the body arise. So the course of love and the course of miracles and the way of mastery, I'm noticing that all of these all of it is really trying to tell us that, you know, to glorify a learning device doesn't make sense. The course of love is trying to tell us that it's just as important for us to remove the blocks to our heart as it is the way that we constantly work on our mind and our consciousness. Most people work on their consciousness and they work on their mind and they work on their thinking. But the challenge is that they don't also open up their hearts, their capacity to receive love, their capacity to let love in. So the course of love is trying to join our minds to our heart, because if you're constantly creating things with your mind, but at the same time you're not opening up your capacity to receive, then even if you were to manifest something, you wouldn't allow yourself to really welcome it into your experience in your feeling nature. So the course of love is joining the mind and the heart, and it's called wholeheartedness. And it keeps trying to get us to understand, just like A Course in Miracles, just like A Way of Mastery, the Way of Mastery, and all the rest of the teachings, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that our biggest error is that we still are convinced that we are our bodies. And that's what he's saying in this first paragraph. He says, only from thinking of the body as yourself that ideas of glorifying the body arise. to glorify a learning device, which is the body, doesn't make sense. You know, if you're a carpenter and you're glorifying your hammer, it doesn't make sense. And if you're a carpenter and you're confusing yourself with your hammer, that definitely doesn't make any sense. And that's exactly what we are doing with our body. We are glorifying our learning device. We're glorifying our learning device. Now, I'm having no problems. I'm looking at it on my phone right now, and I'm not having any problems seeing me and seeing the comments that are being made right now. So like I said, I don't know what the challenge is if you're having one, but for sure it's going to be reposted at some point. So you will get a chance to see this. And so keep checking back in to see if the problem is resolved enough for you to be able to watch it. And so then the Course of Love says, yet in creating the perfect device from which you could experience separation, all such problems were anticipated and corrective devices were created along with them. So it doesn't matter if we have created the body and we're not using the body the way that it should be used, which is for the purpose of joining, and we've been using it for the purpose of separating, that Spirit gave us corrective devices that were created right along with any error that we may make. So it doesn't matter if we're making any errors in our perception. Spirit has also created any answer to any problem that we come up with. So the Course of Love says you could not fully experience separation without a sense of self as separate, and you could not fully experience anything without your free will. So do you know it's telling us that you can't experience the idea of being a separate person unless you have a sense of yourself as being separate, and you can't fully experience anything that you're experiencing without your free will. So it's through our free will that we are experiencing ourselves, however we are experiencing ourselves right now. And so it says a separate self with a free will operating in an external world, as well as a spirit self desiring the experience of separation, would naturally lead to a situation where the whole range of experiences available to a separate being would exist. So I desired to know I was separate, and that I had a free will operating in an external world, and I also desired to experience separation. So this led me into the experiences that I've been having all my life, a whole range of experiences that would be available to anybody that wants to think they're separate. So what you've been experiencing in the physical world from the moment you were born was every experience that a spiritual being experiences who wants to experience themselves as being separate, who wants to experience themselves as being different. So everything that you went through today, everything that you're going through right now, Raj, is because you wanted to experience yourself as a separate being. You wanted to see what it was like to see yourself as separate. So we're having the whole range of experiences. We're having the whole range of experiences that you have when you want to see yourself as a separate being. Now, one of the things I feel compelled to say is this. I know that we have a tendency to be very caught up in whatever the day-to-day situations and circumstances that we think we are going through. Our day-to-day human experience, our human experiences of our bills, our human experiences of our children, our jobs, what's going on with my car, what's going on with my house, what's going on in the physical external world. I want to invite you for just this period of time to take your mind to a higher level of being willing to look at it from an entirely different perspective. Just for a minute, be willing to hear A Course of Love from the perspective of you being a lot more than just the human being that you think you are, dealing with the problems that human beings tend to deal with. Just for a while, let go of that idea and everything around that idea of just being a separate human being as the thing that you're focusing on right now. And you will get another level of looking at this that actually will begin to clear up what you think of as the human problems that you're going through. Because you don't really solve a problem on the same level you created it on. So we have to go beyond our separate human perspective of ourselves in order to allow ourselves to have the higher answers and solutions come through us to heal what we perceive as the situations and circumstances that we're going through in the world. So it says in paragraph 2, the complex set of criteria needed to create a world of separation was in the instant of creation anticipated and provided in a form consistent with creation's laws, while this world was created with love. As all creation was, this world was also created to provide the desired experience. This world was created with love, but it also was created to give you the desired experience that you have to be special and to be different. This is the world that souls are born into who want to know what it's like to think of themselves as separate and to think of themselves as special and to think of themselves as different. So we are unlimited consciousness and awareness and spiritual beings. And we decided to have the experience of what it would be like to think of ourselves as special, as different, and as separate. And so now we're living in a world that seems like there's specialness and difference and separateness. And that's how fear was born. Because a separate self is also a frightened self and a fearful self by its nature. I mean, how could you not experience fear if you think it's possible for you to be alone, if you think it's possible for you to be separate, if you think it's possible for you to be disconnected? Well, of course, a being that desires to be separate and to see themselves as separate, that being is going to also experience fear sometimes, upset sometimes. And so the Course of Love says, don't you know that you've grown weary? Those of you who have grown weary of this experience, then you need to rejoice. See, I've done the separation thing, and I'm tired of being in a world where it looks like we all think we're separate from each other. We're not really looking out for each other, that we're not really joining with each other at the heart. I'm tired of perceiving myself in a world that it seems like there can be pain and suffering and death, broken into by periods in which we go to a movie or hang out with each other or seem to have a good time in the park. I want to be in a world in which I cannot hurt, I cannot lose those that I love, that I can have a joy that is lasting and permanent, and that I'm not having any kind of concerns or worries or any anxieties. And it's saying right here, you who have grown weary of this experience, what experience? The experience of separation and thinking you're separate from God. Then the Course of Love says, rejoice, be happy. If you're tired of the experience of separation and fear, then be glad that you finally reached the point that you have had enough of a world of separation and fear. You can choose a new experience. You can choose a new experience. You and I can choose a new experience. I can choose a new experience. And you can choose a new experience. Do you know that your free will has not been taken from you? My free will has not been taken from me. And also the power of creation hasn't abandoned you. You still have the power to create. You still can choose a new experience. You still have the power to create. No matter what the situation or circumstance that you think you're in right now, you still have the power to create. Barbara, I totally and completely agree with you. You're saying, I'm loving this course and the new revelations about myself. And then she greeted us mighty companions. And she says, let's transform our minds wholeheartedly. Let's transform our minds wholeheartedly. You're right, Elizabeth Einstein. So, the solution. Now, what is the solution? Well, do you know that the solution lies in transformation. And that's why you are still needed here. You are still needed here, and the solution is transformation. The Course of Love calls this the world of illusion. And it says, beneath the world of illusion that you have made, this is a world that you have made to glorify your separate self. This is a world that you have made. Your world is the world that you've made to glorify your separate self. And underneath the world that you've made to glorify your separate self lies the world that was created for your learning. So there's a world this world was created for your learning. How to remember yourself and how to remember love and how to join in peace and happiness again even though there was a part of your mind that created this world in order to glorify your separate self. So there is a world, this is a world that can be full of lessons and love that God would have us learn. This world of separation can be a world of total love and peace and joy. Looked at correctly, this world can be used for us to learn how magnificent we really and truly are. But originally, it was made to glorify our separate self. So the Course of Love says, it is not the only world by any means, but it is still heaven, because heaven must be where you are. So wherever you are, heaven is. Wherever you are, love is. No matter what it looks like, wherever you are, God is. And wherever you are, love is. No matter what you think you're going through right now, love is where you are, and God is where you are. So what is needed right now? What is it that we need to do right now? Well, A Course of Love says a wholehearted choice to abandon all ideas of glorifying your separated self and to let the world be what it is will begin the transformation. Okay, so what is it that a person needs to do in order to set their transformation in, to get your transformation started? What is it that you need to do? In order to get your transformation started, what is it that you need to do? Okay, the first thing you need to do if you want to start your spiritual transformation, Raj and my mighty companion, hello Marlet, good to have you online. The first thing you need to do, if you're ready to start your spiritual transformation, is to make a wholehearted choice to abandon every idea of glorifying your separated self. And also you have to start letting the world be what it is. So what's required to start the transformation? Well, the first thing that's required in order to start your spiritual transformation is unification. So unification is needed in order to start your transformation. What kind of unification do you need to do to start your transformation? Well, the unification that you need to do to start your transformation is what? The unifying of your mind and your heart. The first step in spiritual transformation is to join your thinking with your heart. After which, then you go through a unification with God, and then God is naturally returned to your awareness, because unifying your mind and unifying your heart returns you to the Christ in you. And the Christ in you is the real self in you. So if you really want to do spiritual transformation, it starts out with unifying your thinking with your feelings, and that will bring your unification with God, your Creator, back into your awareness, and then that will also make you aware of the real self in you, and you will also be returned to your one mind that's united with God, which you've never left. So the truth is, we've never left our connection with God. We are still connected to our source. We are still connected to our Creator. No matter what we think we've done, no matter what separation we've done, no matter how much we identify with our bodies, no matter how much we think we're a victim of the world that we've seen and we've forgotten about our spiritual power, and we think that somebody has done something to us or that we're in a world of fear or lack, we are still connected to our source. We still have our creative power. So you are still as powerful as you have ever been. And you are still as loved as you were ever loved right now, no matter what seems to be going on in your experience. So the power of creation then returns to you. So when you do have the power of love return to you, Raj, when you do have the power of God return to you, mighty companion, when you really have that power return to you, the power of love, your awareness of who you are, your spiritual illumination is supposed to be used to help all the other separated ones remember union and to remember oneness. So that's what I'm attempting to do right now. I'm attempting to be a conduit to help everyone remember their beauty, that they're holy, that they're innocent, and that they're lovable, and that they're loved. That is my emphasis in every class that I do, but especially in the Course of Love class, is to constantly remind you that you are loving, that you are lovable, and that you are loved. Because if you recognize that you are lovable, and that you are truly loved, and that you're truly innocent, and that you're truly loving, then all your perceived problems will begin to disappear. You will get another perception of everything that's causing you any kind of pain. And that's why when we join together, and we join together with the emphasis on dedicating our thought to union, then that's the real way that you solve any problem that you think you have. Because we only have one problem. And that one problem has already been solved. And that one problem is thinking that we're separate from God, thinking that we're separate from each other, thinking that we're separate from our source. That's the real cause of any and every problem that we may think that we have. That is so true. Now, before I go to the next paragraph, are there any questions or any comments about anything in this section that I've said so far? And I know there's just a little bit of a delay, even though we're live, but I want to give you an opportunity to ask me any question about what I've already said or that this section is covering, because I want you to know that I'm here for you, because you're my mighty companions. You see, in the middle of everything that's going on in this world, when I look at all the other aspects of my consciousness, which is whatever you see, because whatever you're seeing is an aspect of your own consciousness. Everything you're looking at is a projection of your own thinking. It's a projection of your own thought. You are not your physical body. It is your learning device. You are the mind. There is an awareness. You are consciousness. And everything you're looking at is a projection of the one mind. There's nothing that you're seeing that's not within your own mind. And so we are learning how to let go of the blocks to letting the love in us extend and project what we see. And that's what's so important to remember. You are more than you think you are. Rita says the caterpillar doesn't dream of becoming a butterfly. The caterpillar allows to disappear and abandon all of the glorification of its learning device, so it dies in order to realize the butterfly. And actually, the caterpillar actually is the butterfly. They are exactly the same thing. And that is what we are doing. You die to one appearance of who and what you are, and then you move into another level of what you are that's beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. Thank you, Rita, for sharing that. That's also very true. Okay, well, I'm going to go on then. Now we're in chapter 19, paragraph 6. It says, don't you know your saving grace? Your saving grace is that even a separated self yearns for union and knowledge of its creator. So that means that we really want to know our connection to God. We really do want to know our connection to our source. So it says, thus along with this yearning was a means provided for its fulfillment, and with this fulfillment lies the end of separation. Okay, number one, don't you know that as a separated being, there's a part of you that's yearning for union and knowledge of its creator? I am. I am yearning for a union with God, and I'm yearning for my knowledge of my creator. I want to know my creator. I want to be connected to my creator. And so if you yearn for something, and if you yearn to know your creator, and you yearn to know your connection to your creator, then a means is provided for that fulfillment. You have a way to know that you're connected to love and that you're connected to your source. A way is going to be provided and already has been provided that would allow you to be connected to your source and to have the knowledge of your source. And with this fulfillment, with this connection to my source, and with my knowledge of my source, God, then that would be the end of my separation. So once I know my connection to love, once I know I am connected to love, real love, once I have knowledge of my creator, who is real love, then there's going to be a way provided for me to know love and to be connected to love. And when I really am consciously connected to love, when I really know my connection to love, then the fulfillment of that is going to be the absolute end of my sense of separation. Jesus says, I was part of this means, but only part. Fulfillment can be provided by each and every one of your brothers and sisters. So each and every one of you can be a means of fulfillment for me, and I can also be a means of fulfillment for you. And to me, the key word is means of fulfillment. That I am not the cause of your fulfillment. Another person cannot make you happy, but they can be a channel. They can be a means for you to recognize happiness and a means for you to recognize love. So fulfillment can be provided by each and every one of your brothers and sisters. For in each one of your brothers and sisters is the Christ, which is the true self, the loving self, available to be seen and experienced as it was from me. So each one of you are capable of showing me what real love is. Everybody's capable of showing you what real and true love is. It is in your holy relationships, that means your truly loving relationships, that union can be found and experienced in your holy relationships. Relationships that are based on sanity, relationships that are based on joining, relationships that are based on peace, relationships that are based on freedom, relationships that are based on taking responsibility for your happiness. It's in those relationships that union can truly be found and truly be experienced. And thus from these holy relationships that you fuel your desire for union with all and for knowledge of your Creator. So this yearning for a holy, healed, beautiful, loving, peaceful, caring relationship, a holy relationship. Do you know that a holy relationship is a relationship that is untainted by fear? It's a relationship that's untainted by judgment. It's a relationship that's approached with wholeheartedness, and for that to be fulfilled. It is not the means that are lacking, but it's the wholehearted desire. So the way to have love, true love, satisfying love, the way to achieve that is not missing or lacking. What keeps a person from having true love, true satisfaction, and true fulfillment is that the person doesn't have a complete, wholehearted desire for true love. To wholly desire something, to completely desire something, is to create it. Cheryl, good to see you online. So in paragraph 8, chapter 19, it says, let me speak briefly of the role I played. This is Jesus talking to us because the course of love is channeled by Jesus. It's Jesus that's talking to us through the course of love. It says, let me speak briefly of the role I played so that you can better understand the role that waits for you. So Jesus says in the course of love, I came in the fulfillment of Scripture. All this really means is that a certain community had been led to expect my arrival. This community awaited me, Jesus, with expectation, and so found in me what they hoped to find. What my brothers and sisters saw in me, says Jesus, allowed me to be who I was even while in human form. I'll say it again. It's just like me saying what I see in you can allow who you really are to be expressed in human form. If I really see you as the truly powerful, loving being that you are, then that would allow who you really are to be expressed in human form. So Jesus says, I tell you truly, if you were to see any of your brothers and sisters today as those who awaited my birth saw me, they too would remember who they are. This is the role I ask you to accept so that you can provide for others what was provided for me. So what is the role that we're being asked? I'll read it again. If you were to see in any of your brothers and sisters today if you were to see any of your brothers and sisters today as those who awaited my birth saw me, they too will remember who they are. So if I see the truth in you and you see the truth in me, we will remember who we really are as spiritual beings. We would remember that we are loved, that we are free, that we are innocent, that we are joined and connected. If I see it in you, it will also help you see it in me. This is our role for each other. So when I'm in a relationship with the purpose of helping that person remember the infinitely innocent, loving being that they are. When I'm in relationships with my friends and my associates and with the people that I share and teach, I have one purpose in mind: to see them as the Christ, to see you as love, to see you as innocent, to see you as strong, to see you as powerful, to see you as the creator of your experience. I'm not looking at you as some person that's not acting out my script, that I'm upset with because you're not doing the things that I want you to do, and I'm projecting and blaming you for everything that I'm going through, and I'm holding you responsible for what it is that I am experiencing in my life, and I'm not seeing you as somebody that I'm upset with, that I'm holding a grievance with because of something you may have done to me. When I'm looking at you, my goal is to see you as spirit, to see you as love, to see you as loved, and to see you as loving, and to see you as lovable, and to see you as joined with me and me joined with you. That is my role. And guess what? That is your role. In paragraph 9, chapter 19, in a course of love, it says, each one of your brothers and sisters is as holy as I, Jesus, and as beloved to God. All of us are equally loved. All of us are equally loved. The thing that makes love love is that love is given to all equally. If it's love, it's given to everyone equally. That was the first thing that made me aware that what I was experiencing in the world was not real love. Because the one thing that I noticed was that love in the world is not given to everybody equally. That we think there are different kinds of love. We think that you can love this person, withhold love from another person, that you can love one person more than you love another person. And the truth is teaching us that that is not real love. Real love is all-inclusive. Real love is given to everyone equally. Real love just doesn't change from person to person or circumstance to circumstance. What we're giving to each other is specialness. And specialness can be given to some people and not given to some people. Specialness does change with every situation and circumstance. So it's specialness that we give each other. And A Course of Love is trying to teach us what real love is. And it says, each one of your brothers and sisters is as holy as I and as beloved to God. Can you not witness to their belovedness as those long ago witnessed to mine? So am I going to be willing to witness to the fact that you deserve love? You doggone right. I'm witnessing to the fact that you deserve love. I'm going to witness to the fact that you deserve love. Now, do you know that you haven't been able to do this thus far? Why is it that we haven't been able to see only love so far? Because you have desired specialness for yourself and a few others rather than belovedness for all. I have desired specialness for certain people, and I wanted to receive specialness from certain people and a few others, but I have not been focusing on loving all. I have not been focused on loving everyone. I've been focused on loving certain people. And so that's why I haven't been able to fulfill my spiritual function so far consistently, because I was much more into special love than in an inclusive love. But now perhaps you are ready to take your capacity to love to a brand new level. I know that the Course of Love, one of the things that's so interesting is that I know that I could teach some things that would be a lot easier than A Course of Love, A Course in Miracles, or The Way of Mastery. I could teach classes on how to manifest things, how to attract your soulmate, how to lose 10 pounds, how to have a 6-figure income, Those kind of classes, which are fine, but those are the kind that are most popular to the mind that still believes that their happiness is in something outside of themselves, and that's okay. But then you also reach a point in your spiritual development that you're ready to focus completely on the idea of true love and what true love is. And perhaps you are ready. Perhaps you're ready for that. And just like Cheryl is saying, yes, we have desired specialness. I still do. So we still do. That's no big deal. If you still desire, because what's happening is, what would be really good to start saying to yourself is, say I desire love with the same intensity that you say I desire specialness. Because that's the way I do it, and that's the way most people that I teach and talk to do it. They go, yeah, but I still want to be special. And what you should say is, yes, but I sure still want to have real love. Be as faithful and committed to having a real unconditional love shown to you as you are about having special love shown to you. Remember, use your own experience. You know that special love doesn't necessarily last. You know special love is conditional. You know special love is sometimes given to you and then taken back if you don't do a certain thing, you don't act a certain way. So say to yourself, I'm ready to go beyond temporary love to permanent love. I'm ready to have love that does not end. Start being as faithful to the idea of having an unconditional love as you are to having a conditional love. So it says right here, the separated self cannot relearn unity except through union. If I'm going to ever experience unity again, I'm only going to experience unity again through actually joining, through actually uniting. Here, union is achieved in relationship. The way that you achieve true union is in relationship. But being in relationship with somebody doesn't necessarily mean that your bodies are joined or your bodies are together. Being joined with someone doesn't necessarily mean the body. It means you are in relationship with each other. That means you're in a situation with each other that you are waking up to who you really are together. And that can happen whether your bodies are together or your bodies are not together. So to see your brothers and sisters as those of long ago saw Jesus is the way to achieve relationship of the highest order and relearn communion, because communion is the language of the heart. This is why you have been asked, what is it that you have been asked? To experience the spirit of your brothers and sisters. I want to experience your spirit. I want to see where it used to be. I wanted to experience your body. What I want to experience even more than your body, I want to experience your spirit. Rather than simply relating to your body, as I always have. It doesn't take any effort to interact with bodies. There are plenty of bodies that are available to interact with. What we want to do as we begin to transform, what we want to do as we begin to wake up, is we want to start to relate to the spirit of each other. So let me look online and see if there's any comments or questions. Okay, I'm available for comments and questions, and I'm perfectly okay if you are satisfied to just take this in and listen to it. That's cool too. All right. Then the course, it says that is why you have been asked to experience the spirit of your brothers and sisters. You've been asked to experience the spirit of your brothers and sisters rather than simply relating to their bodies as you always have. I, Jesus, was not seen as a body by those who believed in me. So if you believe in me, you are seeing me as more than my physical body. If I believe in you, I'm seeing you as more than a physical body. Don't you think that's a really interesting way to look at it? I mean, think about that for a minute. I used to think to believe in a person was really related to credibility. Can I believe in who you are? Believe in what you say? And what the course of love is saying, I believe in you if I really see you for who you really are. Because how can I believe in you if I don't know who you are? And if I see you as a body, I don't know who you are. If I see you as just a body, I don't know who you really are. So to believe in you is to see you as you really are. And it says, I was not seen as a body by those who believed in me, although I had a body to help me learn just as you do. I have a body to help me learn. I have a body to help me learn the truth. I have a body to help me learn how to remove the blocks to love. I have a body to teach me how to join again with you, with God, and with myself. So the purpose of your body is to help you learn. The purpose of your body is to help you learn. The purpose of your body is to help you learn. Any questions? Any comments? Like I said, I'm willing to give you an opportunity to respond. And also share these videos. Comment on these videos. Like these videos. The more interaction, the more activity on these videos, on these classes, the more they are extended through Facebook, throughout the internet. So let's join with our other mighty companions. And so Cheryl is saying, I want people to see me as love, as spirit, as light. That's right. I want you to see me as love. I want you to see me as spirit. I want you to see me as light. I see you as love. I see you as spirit. I see you as light. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm willing to do. Okay, let's go on further. It says, chapter 19, paragraph 11. My testimony witnessed to your arrival, just as the scriptures witnessed to mine, says Jesus. Even while some of my words were distorted and misinterpreted. Some of the words of Jesus were distorted and are being distorted, and some of the words of Jesus are being misinterpreted. So you can still revisit the words of Jesus, and you can see that some of them were distorted and some of them have been misinterpreted. I, Jesus, did not proclaim myself to be above or different from the rest. If you read the Bible, you'll see that Jesus never proclaimed himself to be above the rest or different from the rest, but called each of you brother and sister. And Jesus constantly reminded us of our Creator's love and of our union with our Creator. It's like Jesus gets such a bum rap. And I've experienced such insanity in the name of Jesus that when I hear the word Jesus, I had so much resistance to it because of the things that I had learned about Jesus. Rather than realizing that just because I learned some misinterpretations and distortions of Jesus, it didn't mean that Jesus was any less a great teacher than Buddha or any of the other great masters. He's just like somebody who had a lot of stuff said about him that isn't true, and then we believed it. And so I'm so glad that I have forgiven my perception of Jesus, that I had learned, that created any kind of fear in me. That was a big block for me when I first got into the Course in Miracles, the Way of Mastery, and the Course of Love. It has been letting go of all of the misperceptions and beliefs and fears and crap that I learned about Jesus. And so I'm giving Jesus I'm giving Jesus due. Jesus didn't do anything to me other than remind me that I was loved by God and that I was also loved by him and that we're all loved by each other. And then some of the stuff that he taught was misinterpreted and distorted. So it says in chapter 12, chapter 19, paragraph 12, it says, your belief in your brothers and sisters will not be total. You will never completely believe, we'll never completely believe in each other without the reunion of our mind and heart. And the joining of our mind and our heart will produce a state of wholeheartedness or one-heartedness. This state was not achieved at all times by all those who believed in me, and perfection is not asked of me. That's thunder. That's good. It's getting all dramatic. I'll say this again, and I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this. Perfection is not asked of you. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. Nobody's asking you to do this perfectly. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. Perfection is not asked of you, Raj. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. You are perfect. You are already whole. You are already complete. As can be clearly seen from the records left to you, the apostles did not, in fact, achieve this state during the lifetime of Jesus. Even the apostles did not achieve perfection, because even the apostles looked at Jesus as different and looked to Jesus for power. It was only after my resurrection did the Holy Spirit come upon the apostles and reveal their own power to them. By how? How did the Holy Spirit come upon the apostles and reveal their own power to them? By uniting mind with heart. By uniting the mind and the heart with belief. The apostles were then reunited with me as they were reunited with the Christ. The Christ is the one self we all share. We are being reunited with the one self that we all share. So do you know, thus, you must learn to see yourself as you see your brothers and sisters. Learn to see yourself as you see your brothers and sisters, and place your belief not in how different we are, but how much the same we are. See, we have been focusing on, as separate beings, we've been focusing on how different we are, how separate we are, how apart from each other we are. Now, as awakening beings, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to focus on our sameness, our unity, our oneness. Let me know you as I know myself. Let me know you as I know myself. Let me know you as myself. Let me see you as myself. Let me know you as myself. So in chapter 19, paragraph 13, it says, in order to do this, there is still one more layer to the unification of thought, which means this brings up another reason for our reliance on the heart. We're going to be given another reason why we should start relying more on our heart. Now, thought as you know thought. Now, tune in with this now. Thought as you know thought is really an aspect of duality. Thought has a duality to it in your separated state. So when a person thinks that they are separate and different and a body, then that means that they are in a state of duality. So that person who believes that they're in a separated state, a person who believes that they are separate, is a person who thinks in terms of me and you, I and them, death and life, good and evil. All of this is thought. Thought occurs in words, and words separate us. Let me give you an example. You call me Earl, and then I call you whatever your name is. Just the words that we are using reinforce the idea that we're separate from each other. Just the very language that we use makes us think we're separate from each other. So do you know that it is only in combining mind and heart with a focus. Combine your mind and your heart with a focus on letting the heart lead. Through letting your heart lead, love can be combined with your thinking in such a way as to actually transcend thought as you know it. So you can go beyond thought as you know it by letting your heart lead and then combining it with your thought. And then you will actually transcend thought as you know it. This transcendence of thought as you know it going beyond thinking as you know thinking. That's the function of wholeheartedness. Combining the mind with the heart will take us beyond limited thinking, that as we know limited thinking. So a person that wants to go beyond limited thinking, a person that wants to go beyond limited thinking, lets the heart lead, and then the love in you can be combined with your thought in a way that actually lets you transcend your old way of thinking. Thank you for sending me these hearts. I really appreciate the love. I appreciate the communication and the interaction. Okay, so tonight I really have some listeners online. There's not a lot of comments that are being made. That's okay. It's all cool. It's okay if you do. It's okay if you don't. It just means a lot of you are just listening. You're letting it in. That's great. So in chapter 19, paragraph 14, it says, this is in essence why the greatest thinkers have not been able to decipher the riddle, the mystery of the divine. The greatest thinkers have not been able to decipher the riddle, the mystery of the divine, and why the greatest thinkers have come to the conclusion that God is unknowable. God is knowable from within the mystery of going beyond within the mystery of non-duality is God knowing. Now, in other words, as long as I think I'm separate from you, think I'm separate from God, and think I'm separate from everything else, then I'll never know God. I'll never know what real love is as long as I think I'm separate from everything and everybody. God, which is love, is knowable within oneness, which is non-duality. So I will begin to know God when I know you as myself. I will know God when I know you as love. I will know God as I see myself joined and connected with you and all that is. So it would be impossible for you to be a being that can yearn for knowledge of your Creator without this knowledge being available. It's impossible that I can yearn to know God without the knowledge of God being available to me. So the knowledge of God is available to you. Do you know that having knowledge of God is available to you? The true knowledge, the true knowing of God, the Creator, is available to you. There's no way you could have the yearning to have that connection with God, and the way to have that connection and knowledge of God not be known to you. That is good news. That is really good news. So what happens in creation? What happens in creation? In creation, all needs are fulfilled the instant the needs become needs, which is why there are no needs. Now, why is it that there are no needs? As soon as you have a need, in creation, all needs are fulfilled the instant that they become a need. You cannot have a need that will not be and cannot be fulfilled. In creation, you can't have a need that's not fulfilled. In creation, in love, which is creation, in extension, which is creation, you can have a need that is not met. So from within love, from within the knowledge of love, from within the knowledge of unity, from unity and oneness, you cannot have a need that's not fulfilled. If everything you need has been provided, having needs makes no sense. If everything you need has been provided, but you just don't recognize that it's been provided, having needs make no sense. So any need that you have, any need that you think you have, any need that you think you might have in the future, any need that you have, that need will be provided. But there is really only one need. There is only one need. The need for love, the need for God, the need for truth, the need for unity, the need for oneness. That is all the same need. We only have one need, and that is to release and let go of any block to any sense of separation from God. That is the only need that we truly have. That's my only need. is to get rid of anything in my mind that makes me think I'm separate from you, to get rid of anything in my mind that would make me think I'm separate from God. That's the only need that I really have. Now, I know I may think I have many different needs. But the truth is, I only have one need. That is to end any sense of separation, indifference, and disconnection from God. That is the only need that I really have. It's the need to have knowledge of my connection to God, to my source. That is the only need that we really have. And that need has already been taken care of. So I ask to be able to recognize what I have already received. A true prayer is a prayer that goes like this. I ask to be able to recognize what I already have. I ask to be able to recognize what the love I already have. I ask to be able to recognize the abundance that I already have. I ask to be able to recognize the freedom that I already have. You want to ask to be able to recognize what you already have, because God has already provided everything you could possibly need. It's already been given. It's already been provided. The only challenge is you may not recognize it. You may not see it. You may have some blocks in your awareness. So ask to be able to recognize what you have already received. So, okay, any questions, any comments about any of this that I've said so far? I'll give you a minute to see if there's anybody that has any comments or questions about anything that I've said so far. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for sharing this with me. It touches my heart and my soul. You're such a blessing. I'm so appreciative of you. I'm so appreciative of you. Let's see. Sophia says, a lot of love for you, baby. So she's just shooting out some good energies to us. Lee, thank you for being online. It's a pleasure to have you online. Okay. All right. Like I said, then if you don't have any comments, any questions, I'm going to keep on going. All right. Let's keep on going deeper in this. I'm glad you, thank you, Grace. I'm glad you appreciate me as well. I appreciate you too, darling. Okay. Chapter 19, paragraph 15. Philosophy applies thought to mystery, and that's why philosophy becomes such a muddle of words. That means it's difficult for you to accept that what you most need to know cannot be achieved through the same methods you have used in order to know other things. What? What we most need to understand, what we most need to know can be achieved through the same methods that we use to learn other things. We need to use new methods to learn right now. Shanae says, when I stop thinking I am separate from my brothers and sisters, I will realize my relationship with God. That is exactly right, Shanae. Jerry says, today I have heard God speaks to me all through the day. Wow. When you listen, you know it's true. That's absolutely true, Jerry. Barbara says, thank you for sharing and joining with us. We are listening. I'm so glad that you're willing to just let yourself listen also. That is like so cool, man, that we have each other. I am so freaking grateful because we're in a time of deep transformation. It's so much light coming into the world right now that is bringing all the insanity up to be removed. Sort of like pouring water into a pail with dirt at the bottom of the pail, and how that water stirs all the dirt up, and for a while all the water in the pail looks dirty. But if you keep on pouring the clean water into the pail, eventually all the dirty water goes over the side, and then you have a pail full of crystal clear water. That's what's happening in the world right now. And the temptation, when your pail gets muddy and murky, because all your hidden unconscious stuff is coming up to be released, the temptation would be for you to stop giving yourself the water of truth. and go, oh, I've started studying this stuff, and all of a sudden my life seems like it's more chaotic than ever. Yeah, you got the dirty pail right now. So you need to keep on giving yourself more and more and more and more and more and more truth. Don't do like most people do. As soon as things get stirred up because they're giving themselves the truth and things get uncomfortable, which they will do at first, then they back off of the truth, let the dirt settle back down to the bottom of the pail again, convince themselves that, whew, I'm so glad I got out of that course of love or that way of mastery, whatever that truth teaching was, because I was doing that stuff and my life was getting more chaotic than ever. No, you just let the dirt settle back down to the pail, to the bottom of the pail. You still got those same ideas that need to be released. You just let them drop to the bottom of your pail again. But those of you who are going through disorientation right now, wondering what the hell is going on, and it seems like everything in your life is up, keep giving yourself the truth more than ever. Don't slack off. And Janet says, it's always a matter of trust, looking into the dark water with the Holy Spirit so it can be reinterpreted in truth. Right on, Janet. That is exactly true. So let's look at paragraph 15. Philosophy applies thought to mystery, and that is why philosophy becomes such a muddle of words. It is difficult for you to accept that what you most need to know cannot be achieved through the same methods you have used in order to know other things. We've got to use new methods of learning and otherwise. Jerry says, I ask for just what he is saying so that it can come up and wash it away. And increasingly, it says, increasingly you are willing to exchange experience for secondhand knowledge. It's time for you to be willing to exchange experience for secondhand knowledge and to believe you can come to know through the experiences of others. It is fine for you to learn through the experiences of others. If I put my hand on a hot stove and you see me burn the food out of my hand, you can learn through that experience and not put your hand on the hot stove. So you can learn through experiences of others. Yet, in the case of coming to know what lies before you now, in the case of coming to know your own self, it's obvious that another person's experience, though, will not bring the knowledge of yourself to you. There are some things you can learn through other people's experiences, but coming to know your own self, it is obvious that another person's experience will not bring this knowledge to you, not even the experience of Jesus. That is a profound statement. There are some things you can learn through other people's experiences, but you can only come to know who you are through your experiences. You can only know and come to know who you truly are through your experiences. You have your own individual curriculum that's different from anybody else's curriculum in form. So when you begin to really transform, you cannot use other people's experiences. You have to be willing to follow your heart. Let your heart lead you. In the case of coming to know what lies before you now, coming to know your own self, it's obvious that another's experience will not bring this knowledge to you, not even the experience of Jesus. If this were so, all of those who read of my life and words would have learned what I learned from my experience. While many, says Jesus, have learned much of others, this type of learning is nothing but a starting point, a gateway to experience. So what does that mean? To think without thought, or to know without words, are ideas quite foreign to you. It's possible to think without thought and to know without words. And truly, while you remain here, even experiences beyond thoughts and words, you will apply word and thought to. You have experiences that are beyond words that you still try to describe in words. Yet love has often brought you close to a thoughtless and wordless state of being, and it can do so again. When you come into contact when you come close to real love, it's unspeakable. It goes beyond thoughts. There's not words to even describe what you are experiencing. When you experience true love, it doesn't compare to anything that you've ever experienced before. It doesn't bring anything to mind that you've ever experienced before. So as you join with your own self, as you unite with your own true self in unity, all that in love you have created and received returns to its home in you, which means it leaves you in a state of love in which the wordless and the formless are very near. As you unite with your real self, there are no words to describe that kind of love. Your only concept of oneness is of a single form, like a single entity. In other words, there is either one chair or two chairs. There is either one table or four tables. Do you notice that your emphasis is always on quantity? And so the number one is seen as actually less than any other number. In other words, to have $1 million seems like that's a lot more than having $1. So there's a part of us that actually sees the term one as less than or lacking. So when it says one self, one relationship, oneness, there's a part of us that's been educated to think of one as actually the least amount of something you can have next to zero. So there's a part of the mind that doesn't even think of oneness as a lot. It thinks so. That's why we're so deep into separation, because many separate ones equal up to 1 million ones. So I got $1 million. So we have to understand that oneness is totally expansive. It's totally inclusive. So it says your only concept of oneness is of a single form, a single entity. There is either one chair or two chairs, one table or four. Your emphasis has been on quantity, and one is seen as less than any other number. Yet, on the other hand, when only one of anything exists, it's highly prized. That's why I want to be your only love. See, in that sense, oneness is totally prized. God is thus God due, at least in part, to what you view as God's singularity. You view those who worship many gods as primitive, although those who believe in a God synonymous with creation are closer to a true picture of God than those who view God as a solitary figure. Still, oneness and unity go together. Oneness and unity go together. Oneness and unity go together. The unity of creation is part of the oneness of God. The oneness of God is part of the unity of creation. But you have a mind that's been trained by separation. Do you know that a mind trained by separation can have no concept of what I'm talking about, as all concepts are born from the mind's own separate thoughts. Concepts come from a separate mind. Yet this same mind that comes up with separate thoughts, this same mind could still conceive of a creator. Even though I have a mind that believes in separation and that thinks separate thoughts, I still can conceive of having a creator. A mind that can conceive of a creator combined with a heart that yearns for knowledge of and union with that creator. A mind that can conceive of a creator, that's you and I, combined with a heart that yearns for union with that creator, that's you and I, we can bypass the need for the separated thoughts of the separated one's thought system. We can bypass all the separate thoughts that keep us feeling separate from God by saying to ourselves with sincerity that I do conceive of the idea that I have a creator, and I have a heart that yearns for knowledge and connection with that Creator, if I keep my yearning for my connection with my Creator uppermost in my mind, then I will bypass my need for separate thoughts of a separated thought system. But you have to be trained to do this. We have to be trained to do this. And so your training begins. Your training has begun. Your training has begun. Your training has begun. So, chapter 19, paragraph 18. As was said in the beginning, prayer is asking. You but asked for your separated state, and you made it. You asked to be separate, and you made yourself a separated state. Now you need to ask for unity to return, for unity to return. At first I asked to be separate, to see myself as separate, to have a separate experience. Now I'm asking for unity to return. The condition, which is the state of being from which you ask, is what is in need of adjustment. Who is asking is what is in need of adjustment. Who is asking is what is in need of adjustment. And thus of training before you can be aware of the answer you will receive. So we need to train the part of us that's asking. It's clear that you can ask for what you don't know. That's not the problem. The problem is who's doing the asking. The separated self, your separated self, whilst capable of asking, it's hardly capable of believing in or accepting the response. So there's a part of you that asks questions, but that same part of you that asks the question is also the same part of you that's not capable of accepting the response. So it is this non-belief in a response that makes your mind capable of asking. What does that mean? It just means that now you are beginning to shed the concept of having a separate self. And you're beginning to believe in the possibility that you can really hear the response and act on the response. You will find yourself sometimes more afraid to ask. All your asking, all your prayer awaits is just your belief in the love without fear that has always responded. Start believing in love without fear. Tell yourself love doesn't have fear in it. Love doesn't have fear in it. I believe in love without fear, and the part of me that loves without fear, that's the part of me that can respond and can receive the answers. So do you know, out of the deepest, darkest chaos of your mind really comes the possibility of the truth? It's a bit like traveling backward, or the review of life that some people experience after death. After death, some people experience a review of their life. In order to remember unity and oneness, you must, in a sense, travel back to unity and oneness. You must undo as you go all you have learned since you last knew unity and oneness, so that the only thing that remains is love. You're going back to oneness, so now you're undoing everything that block your awareness of oneness and your awareness of love. This is the undoing. The undoing of everything that blocks your awareness of love. That's what the atonement is. So the undoing of everything that blocks you from being aware of love has begun. And once begun, the undoing of everything that blocks your good, once you have begun that journey, it's unstoppable. And really, it's already been inevitably accomplished. Woo! Man. So, brothers and sisters, don't become impatient. Don't become impatient now. We are on the home stretch. And all you long for is closer than ever before. Everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever longed for is closer than ever before. To talk about going back will undoubtedly make you feel impatient when I say that about going back and undoing. But this is not a going back that will in any way resemble the going back that you've tried to do before. This is a new kind of going back. While it is, in a sense, it's a request to review your life. It is the last such review of your life that will be required before you let go of the past completely. All your previous attempts to go back have been like attempts to pay a debt that will never go away. This kind of going back that I'm talking about tonight will leave you debt-free and will also leave you free in the truth. So you're going back to the love that you always have had. You're going back to the oneness that you've always had. You're on a journey without distance. So that means you need not go in search of it, and in truth cannot, because the past really doesn't live in you anyway. Your past doesn't live in you anyway. So what you need rather do is strive for a place of stillness. Strive for a place of quietness, from which what needs review can arise as if it was a reflection arising from a deep pool. So let's get this straight, okay? Here what is in need of healing. Here what is in need of healing will but briefly come to the surface. What needs to be healed in you will briefly come to the surface. What needs to be healed in you will leave the hidden depths where truth could not reach it and healing could not come. What comes forth for healing just needs a nod of love from your heart. Whatever comes up in you that needs to be healing, that it just needs a passing glance of compassion. Whatever comes up in you that needs to be healing, whatever comes up in you that needs to be healed, just needs the merest moment of reflection before it will dissipate and show a new reflection. So when your stuff comes up, when you go back and everything that needs to be released and purified in you comes up, it's not about you analyzing it. It's not about you feeling guilty about what's coming up. It's about you looking at it with a nod of love, looking at what comes up from your past look at it with a passing glance of compassion. Just give it the merest moment of reflection. Don't get all caught up in it. This going back is in reality more in the way of reflection than review. Although if you were to think of this as a reviewing of yourself, you would be quite accurate. You're just going to do a review of yourself, a review of what you've done, a review of what you think you've done, and you're going to look at it with compassion and let it go. It is like unto the final judgment as it has been described. The final judgment is really just a sorting of the real from the unreal. It's a sorting out of the truth from illusion. The final judgment is when you sort out what's real in you from what's not real in you. Despite the similarity between what this will call forth and the description of the final judgment, judgment is not the means or the end of this reckoning. So let me put it another way. The loftiest aim of which you are currently capable is that of changing your perception. The highest goal that you're capable of right now of achieving is changing your perception. So if you were to say, what I want to do more than anything else is change my perception, that would be the loftiest aim of which you are capable of right now. Although our ultimate goal is to move beyond perception to knowledge. We're trying to move from judgment to knowledge. That's a first step and the first step in doing this is changing your means of perception to that of right-mindedness. You got to change your means of perception to that of right-mindedness. Hold up just a second. I want to make sure I'm getting a little indication that the battery is beginning to get a little low. So I want to make sure that we don't go out before I get a chance to do this. So let me plug in some power. And that's what we do every time we get in touch with God, right? We plug into the power. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Plug into the power. Okay. All right. Now we plugged into the power. See, that's what we got to do. We got to plug into the power. Like Janet says right now, I could see peace instead of this. So the highest level of consciousness that we're capable of right now is saying, I want to change my perception. I want to change my way of looking at things. If you say that, you're on the highest level of consciousness that that's currently available to us. Your willingness to accept me, Jesus, as your teacher will help you to accept my sight as your sight, and thus to be right-mindedness. And thus to be right-minded. Okay, I would like to say right now that I'm willing to accept Jesus of love, the new version of Jesus, the one that I'm getting here, that Jesus. I'm willing to accept that Jesus as my teacher, and that will help me to accept the vision of Jesus as my vision, and that would help correct my mind. I'm willing to do that. The way you have perceived of yourself and your world until now has not been right-minded. The way that you've seen everything up to this point has not been correct. And you're beginning to realize that the way that you've been seeing things up to now has not been correct. And so it's now appropriate for the realization to come to you that your mind and your perception can be changed. Do you know that you can say to yourself now, I know my mind and I know my perception can be changed. I know my mind and my perception can be changed. Knowing that your mind and perception can be changed is necessary before you can look back in a new way. And that means not simply cover the same ground you've covered 1,000,000 times. It's time for you to stop covering the same ground that you've covered 1,000,000 times. That means that you've continually seen reasons for recriminations, you've seen reasons for blame, you've seen reasons for guilt. You've covered that ground 1,000,000 times. So looking back in judgment is not what you're being asked to do. Nobody's asking you to look back at your life in judgment. Actually, only the opposite. Looking back through your life with love and no judgment. That's what's going to advance our goal. And what is our goal? Our goal is to unite our minds and our hearts. So, chapter 19, paragraph 24. We headed into home stretch. The Holy Spirit exists in your right mind. Your loving right self exists in your right mind. The Holy Spirit, when we say Holy Spirit, we're talking about you, the part of you. The Holy Spirit is the part of you that's the bridge to exchanging perception for knowledge. You're trying to go beyond your judgments to total knowing. You want to go from perception to knowledge. Now, knowledge is light. So whenever you see the term light, you can substitute the term knowledge. And the only light in which you can truly see is the light of knowing, the light of knowledge. You will not truly desire to unite your mind and heart in wholeheartedness until you see clearly. You won't be willing to unite your mind and your heart in wholeheartedness. So take a breath. We're coming into the last part of this. This is intense. I'm so proud of those of you who tune in with me in a course of love, because this is much more intense than what we normally sometimes study. And it's really deep and it's really powerful, but it's also very simple in what it's saying at the same time. And I can feel your presence, and I really appreciate the appreciation that you show me. That means a lot to me. I just want you to know I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. One purpose of the distinctions you have made between mind and heart are their ability to keep one part of yourself blameless. In other words, whatever happens, your divided notion of yourself allows you to both protect and conceal. Your divided notion of yourself allows you to both protect and conceal. You protect and conceal. It looks like fault always lies elsewhere. Like the fault always lies with something or someone else. But the guiltless part of you, don't you know the innocent part of you is always free to redeem the guilt-filled self. There's an innocent self that can redeem the guilt-filled self. So there's an innocent self in you that can totally heal the part of you that thinks it's guilty. There's an abundant self in you that can completely heal and redeem the part of you that thinks it has lack. There is a healthy part of you that can completely redeem and heal the part of you that thinks you're sick. There is a peaceful self in you that can completely redeem, and heal the part of you that's in conflict or fear. This idea of self-redemption has long been a culprit that has kept union, even with your own self, undesirable to you. In other words, the concept that in oneness there is no need for blame or guilt or even for redemption. The idea that there is no need to blame, that there is absolutely no justification and no need for guilt. Guilt is not needed. Guilt is a request for punishment. Yes, we can make errors in perception, and errors are for loving correction, but there is no justification for guilt. Guilt is a request for punishment. So now when you feel guilt, tell yourself, my guilt feelings are a request for me to remember my innocence. My guilt feelings are a request for innocence. So use the feeling of anger. You go, I'm feeling angry. That is my call for peace. So there is no need for blame. Don't take the blame off of other people and put the blame on yourself. That's the same thing. There is no need or justification for guilt in any way. There's ultimately not even a need for redemption, because who you really are is totally loved and totally innocent. But when you're deep in your separate mind, when a person is deep in the belief that they are separate from God and separate from everybody and alone, then the idea that nobody's to blame, that there's no reason to feel guilty, that there's not anything really in you that needs to be healed is inconceivable to the mind, but not to the heart. Your heart knows that you are innocent. Your heart knows that you are blameless. Your heart knows that you are significant and that you are loved and that you are connected. Your heart knows. Your heart knows. Rita says, those whom you perceive as your opponents are part of your peace, which you are giving up by attacking them. And that is exactly right from the Course in Miracles. And Janet says, I could see peace instead of this. The heart knows, says Janet, because the heart doesn't analyze. That is so true. So I'm going to do a really little quick recap at the end. I want to thank you for watching this class with me. If you'd like to share a financial expression of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher, you can go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I really would appreciate that if your heart so moves you and God so directs you to do so. I am available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions. So if you'd like to have a one-on-one relationship with me in connection and healing, and I'm also available for mentoring, go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains what I share and how I share it. You all are such a blessing. So what I'd like to also tell you, you can check out how the Course of Love came about by going to acourseoflove.org. And the music that you hear me play a lot is from John Christmas. So go to johnchristmas.com and you can order the music that so beautifully he shares. It's such a blessing. And don't forget to share this video. So I would like to give you an opportunity to give me a takeaway, something that you heard tonight that was your takeaway. Thank you, Rita, for sending love to everybody and deep blessings. So was there any takeaways that anyone had tonight that they don't mind sharing? So remember that it is in oneness and letting go of duality that you experience the power and the oneness of God. Janet says, my greatest desire is for true perception. Janet, your greatest desire is for true perception. Anybody else got a takeaway that you want to share with everybody? The Holy Spirit exists in your right mind. The loving Spirit exists in your right mind. The Holy Spirit is the bridge to exchanging perception for knowledge. Jerry says, I love you all as one with me. So remember that when you do your undoing and your reviews come up and the things in you that come up that need to be healed and released, what you want to do is look at it with a nod of love from your heart. When your stuff comes up to be released, look at it with a passing glance of compassion, with a passing glance of compassion. When your stuff comes up to be released, just look at it with a moment of reflection. If you don't engage in it, don't get caught up in the stuff that comes up, it will dissipate and show you a new reflection. Trudy says, I ask to be able to see what I already have. That's right. That's right. That's right. Elizabeth, thank you. I send you so much love. Thank you. Grace, I take with me, she says, I take with me that I have to be patient in this process of undoing. The Course in Miracles says that when you're certain of the outcome, then you have patience. So the more that we're certain that it's all going to turn out all right because God is with us, then we will have patience. You all, I want you to know how much I love you, how much I bless you. What a beautiful, beautiful blessing you are in my life. And we want to go from duality to oneness. Duality to oneness. I appreciate you. I love you. And may peace extend from my mind and my heart to yours. See you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time for A Course of Love. 7 p.m. Tuesday nights Mountain Time for The Way of Mastery. And 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Sundays for A Course of Love. And Rita says what I take mostly with me right now is that I chose to come here to experience separateness, but I can also choose to return to love, and in loving all there's not need or desire to experience, I guess a special, I can't see the rest of it. Susan says, it's all going to work out because God is with us. Amen. You're welcome, Susan. Good night, mighty companions. You are awesome, awesome, and awesome.